Right
Right now.
Right now.
Right now.
Right now.
Right now.
Because it's time to write now.
Right now.
Right now.
Right.
Welcome to another daily motivation stream. I'm your host, Kaufman, and today we're going to be getting in some writing together. We're going to be doing 2 writing sprints and trying to make sure that we can actually make some progress. It is Tuesday, day, what are we at? 305 of Kaufman Writes, and I believe day 400 and something. Where are we at? Day 462 of consecutive writing streams. So make sure to come join. What we're going to do, I'm going to try to push through my storytelling. So for those of you guys who've been hanging out with the Last Scarecrow, I am outlining. I'm going to check the outline for the new chapter I'm about to start. I finally get to embark on the very first solo Mr. Crow POV chapter. So we just get to finally experience Mr. Crow. For those of you who are familiar with the Last Scarecrow, I just got through the first Pebble the Pixie POV chapter. Now I get to go explore the eccentric Mr. Crow. So that's where I'm going to be working on. What are you working on today? I would love to hear. Drop a comment. ML, great to see you. Angel, welcome, my friend. I'm just dropping by to say hello and good night. Right, you're probably at the end of your day, aren't you? I'm re-outlining my old fantasy novel. Ooh, that's exciting. Angel, I'd love to hear what is the fantasy novel about, or what's the title? I always love seeing other writers come and hang out in the chat and coming into the community. We have so many writers of all genres, but I'm a huge fantasy nerd. Hey, what's up, Maddie? Welcome, my friend. Ooh, Angel, Project Wing. That's kind of interesting. So it's a fan. Let me guess. Does it have dragons? Because we all know, my friends, if there is a writing problem that you're trying to solve and you just don't know how to solve it, all you got to do to fix it is to put a dragon on it. I'm like, in a perfect world, my dragons. Yep. All you got to do is put a dragon on it. You guys know me. Eli, welcome back, my friend. Good to see you, Eli. Hope all is well. Maddie, I'm losing my gourd trying to write this television pilot. Well, you know what? I love screenplays. I love television. I spent 10 years trying to get into writers' rooms in Hollywood, so I know how television works out. Always happy to answer any questions. And so happy to see you guys in here. White's here. Welcome back to the stream, my friend. Courtney, hello. All right. So what we're going to do, we're going to hop into our first writing sprint. Like I said, we're doing 2 today. And yeah, so we're going to be keeping it a little shorter because my time's a little more limited. So let's get into the first writing sprint. Make sure to come hang out for the break. We'll catch up a little bit more and see how everything's going. As you can see, I have my stuff all set up. I'll throw on the music. We will try to get some writing in, and then we'll catch up on the break. Okay. Perfect. So during the break, during the sprint, I will mute myself, but I'll come join you guys in the chat. And I think I am all ready. So whether you are brainstorming, writing, editing, procrastinating, branding, revising, or just doing anything writing related, we are all ready to go because it's time to write now. All right. And writing timer started. Writing break started. Wonderful, wonderful. I'm feeling so confident. I'm feeling so consistent with mine. I had to take care of some admin stuff first before I even got into the writing myself. How did that first writing sprint treat you? I know sometimes getting into the first one can be a little bit of a vibe. Like maybe you're not in it, maybe you aren't. So I feel like the first one is always like a good refresher. Like I said, I had to start off with some admin, but then I was able to start on the end of the chapter or on the end of the sprint. But I love it. Guys, who doesn't love writing about an eccentric crow who's literally insane? Like the Mr. Crow is literally an insane character. And up until this point in the novel, we've only gotten a really external moments of how the crow responds to Scarecrow and Pebble and all the things. And this is the first time the reader gets like the inner workings of Mr. Crow's. I was like super excited about it. And as you guys can all see, I'll show you guys my process real fast. So whenever I'm getting into a new chapter, now I know I've shown this to some of the community before, but whenever I get into a new chapter, so I have my outline, and then each chapter, because I'm in the second draft of it, so I'm doing a revision right now. This is my second draft revisionary outline. When I get into a new chapter, so I'm on chapter 22 right now. As you can see, I have the chapter title, An Expedition in Need. It's like, I think that's it. I might have worded it. I have my tentative page count right now for this current draft. I list out the characters as a reminder to myself of which characters I need to emphasize and focus on. Brief summary. And then I have my second draft goals. So sometimes I already am aware of what the chapter needs before getting back into it. Other times I have to kind of go back to the chapter and review it. Then what I come out with is goals. Usually these goals are developmental in nature. Since my goal of the second draft is to make sure that the characters make sense, the plot is clear, and the story is readable, and the pacing is smooth enough. I will focus more on style on my third revision. Style, sometimes I'll think of some cool style things, but for now, it's not, it's like a secondary focus and compared to my first primary goals. So a lot of these, my second draft goals will be to make sure that the things make sense, especially if I've adjusted them since the first draft. So I'd love to hear from you guys. What is your process when like working on later drafts? Do you kind of just start from the beginning and start going through the book and be like, fix whatever it is? Do you kind of hop around the book and fix certain problems? I know it kind of changes from writer to writer, so I'd love to hear what your guys' process is. All right, and I know I saw a couple of you guys chatting. Let's see what we got here. And I love all the writing vibes. Absolutely. By the way, Angel, your novel sounds really cool. You're like, the dragon in my novel is King of the Dragons, and he owns a bar with his wife. Who doesn't love that? That's actually the King of the Dragons is a bar owner. There's something very like whimsical about that I actually really love. That's a bar I'd like to go to. I'm hoping there's some dragon ale that will really grow, that will really put some horns on your really put some horns on your head. So many dragon puns. The dragon bar, I love it. Ooh, Coffee Crate Connect. You posed. Okay, now I see why we're having the prologue conversation. So we've definitely touched on prologues a lot. We touch on it a number of times in the community. Here's my thoughts. So prologues, I don't think every book needs a prologue, and where prologue standards are currently aren't where they used to be years ago. We want to ask ourselves, what is the reason that you're putting a prologue in your book? Why not just start at chapter 1? Your story, your book starts at chapter 1 and it ends at the last chapter. That is your core story. That is your hero's journey. That is the message you're trying to tell. A prologue is essentially going to either serve the overarching story, the world, or add things that the reader needs to know and understand that they can't know by starting at the first chapter. So I've heard that some readers do not like prologues and will just skip prologues to start chapter 1 because they don't care. I would never. I'm too much of a completionist. But the perfect example, I will give you guys the perfect example. For anyone who is a fantasy reader, the Wheel of Time series, one of my favorite epic fantasy series, chapter 1, the first book is essentially a hero's journey. Farmers get picked up by a magical character and then whisked off, and they have to go kill the bad guy at the end of the book. So chapter 1 starts with the farmers in the village talking about the farmland. They get attacked and they start off on their journey. There is a prologue. Now, if the reader had started there, they would have thought like, okay, this series is going to be about a hero's journey of characters going on an adventure from point A to the end. Lord of the Rings does the same exact thing, where we start off with the hobbits in the Shire. They are picked up by the magical character Gandalf and go on a journey to go destroy the ring. But the prologues, Lord of the Rings, the prologue sets up the world. It introduces the rings, introduces Sauron and the idea. The Wheel of Time introduces a chapter about the original main magical protagonist, the Dragon Reborn, how because of the magic, he goes crazy and kills everybody, including himself. It sets up the magic of the universe and the world, whereas Lord of the Rings sets up the magic and the world building. You can't always get away with that, but if they had just started at chapter 1, those the reader wouldn't have been clear on what was the promise of the overarching series, and it might not have been created the reading experience that the authors wanted. So if you're going to do a prologue, and I mean, I know I'm speaking with a lot of fantasy references, it's going to be a little specific per genre, but the prologue, you have to ask yourself, is it truly important, and what does the reader have to know before the story gets started? So I would say that would be my 2 cents. I feel very similarly about epilogues. Epilogues are kind of, I like to wrap it in the same boat. The story ends at the last chapter. Is the epilogue going to be a sneak peek of what's happening in the next book? Is it why isn't it part of this book? I think you're asking yourself the same exact thing. So I hope that helped out a little bit, Coffee. I'm always happy to chat about epilogues. All right. And I know I saw a lot of really good comments here. Let's see. Right. And Cheryl, you're like speaking exactly to my point, right? You're like, I don't read prologues unless I love the book. If I love the book, I will go back to read anything I skip to prolong the experience, right? So there's a lot of readers who will do that. Um, Nicole, I absolutely love this. You're like, the music makes me feel like I'm shooting fireballs out of my hands at Dragon Pose in Japan. Yes, I approve of that vibe 100%. I kind of go a mix of the different the music I do on the stream. I go a mix of lighter melodic and then more like rock, and then sometimes or more instrumental orchestral epic. But I'm just trying to create fantasy vibes here. Maddie, like, how does one come back from writing trash? Write more trash. Keep writing trash. Write even more trash until you see the diamond in the rough. So trash is entirely subjective. The thing I always like to ask myself is, why do I think this thing is trash? Is it trash because the character sucks? Is it trash because the plot doesn't make sense? Is it trash because the word choice just is the poor word choice? I think sometimes, Maddie, I'm not saying this for you, but I'm saying what I recognize with writers is sometimes we can be overly critical about our writing, and then we feel like everything we write sucks. We also have to remember at what point we are at in our storytelling in the book process. If you're on the rough draft and you're halfway through it and you feel like you keep writing trash, keep writing. Remember, the goal of a rough draft is just to get through the story. You can fix the problems and you can solve it. And for all you know, by the time you get to the end of the first book, then a lot of those trashy areas, you'll have thought of better ideas to enhance and reinforce the character journey. So I think that's always a good strategy, my friend. And then also, if like you're farther in the process and you think like your stuff's not good, get feedback from other people. That's always my strategy. Feedback, beta reader feedback is always a great strategy. Yeah, so coffee, you're like talking about the prologue. I currently have one, but not sure about it. It seems a lot of people skip them, don't like them. I heart them. Mine is only 2 paragraphs. I mean, I think 2 paragraphs is easy. For me personally, if I will create a prologue if I feel that the book needs a prologue. If people skip it, I'm just gonna say that's their problem. And I'm gonna say that's a missed opportunity for them. Um, yeah. So I feel like if the book needs a prologue, I will write a prologue. So that's kind of where I mean, I'll show you guys what I did. So I took everyone's advice for the Last Scarecrow. So I took everyone's advice and I'll show you guys here. I'll read what I went with. So instead of doing a prologue, and I feel like this is like maybe like 70% of the way there, I decided to do a song. I need to do the other screen. Let's go this one. So for my prologue, and this is essentially my quote unquote prologue, instead of writing a prologue, I'm doing a song, which I think is going to be the best way of setting up the promise. Because chapter 1 is really the start of a hero's journey, but I don't feel like it really sets the tone for what the overall series is about. So I decided to lead the prologue with the song. You guys can tell me what you think. It's only 1 page. Essentially, this is the song of the last. This is kind of how I'm feeling it in my mind. I'll probably hire somebody to sing the song and do it for like a book promo, which I think would be super cool. I'm not dead set on the wordage yet of this song. I'm feeling better about where it's at, but this is kind of how this is what I'm thinking. So, all right. So this is called the Song of the Last. Okay. For all the creatures in the dark, for all the animals near the mark, for all the beasts who feel the spark, the lands of the last you see, essence will set you free. Ever the growth in the forest start, the splash and the breath ever wore apart, rekindle the sparks in the burn's black heart. The spirit traps epoch's decree. In the lands of the last you see. Take to the skies to be free. Shadow yourself freely. Lands of last free. That's my prologue. So I think I like the first verse. I'm happy with the first verse, and I feel really good about the second bit. I feel like this last one I kind of want to refine a little bit. Like I'm not sure if I I like the direction it's going, but I'm not sure if I'm quite yet happy with the word choice. But I mean my goal is, like I said, I'll hire a professional singer, somebody who's, I mean, I feel like I don't feel like I'm like a garbage singer, but I'm definitely not like a great singer. I know how to keep my own tone, but I'll hire somebody who can actually sing and then use that for, maybe I'll do that for like the book trailer. That'd be super cool. But I feel like this gives a good tone promise for the overarching world of the last Scarecrow, the lands of the last, and I'm so happy with that as my prologue. Yeah, I see a lot of really, really great conversations around here. Let's see, let me catch up on the chat. Um, Awesome. Coffee, I hoped we were able to help you out with the prologue conversation. What I would say, Coffee, is actually if you're not in the Discord, and by the way, anybody who's not in the Right Now Discord, you should, I highly, highly recommend go join the Right Now Discord, link down in the YouTube down below, and somebody go post the question asking about prologues in the writers chat. And I guarantee you guys, you'll get so many opinions on a prologues if you want to continue the conversation. So I think the prologue conversation is actually a really good one to have. I'm dead because I'm not against prologues, but I am against adding prologues that don't enhance the world. Maddie, I'm glad I was able to help you out a little bit, my friend. Really, really glad I was able to help you out. Absolutely. And Maddie, just know, like, you can always submit the story. You can, if you're not sure, you can always submit an excerpt for the critique stream. It's linked down in the YouTube description if you want to go to the forum. If you're not sure, we could always read an excerpt on the critique stream, which is the next episode will be next Saturday, April 19th, if you kind of want to get some more feedback. Yeah, sure. With recognizing our own work, I think it's just so important to understand why we think things are bad. I think when we understand why we think it's bad, then we can work on building the skill for the one thing. Maybe we think it's bad because like the character really sucks, and what we really need to do is just practice some character development, and then it'll be awesome. So, but so often we like wrap everything together into one like bit, and then suddenly we think everything's terrible. Well, no, we just need to work on building one skill. Oh, Eli. 100,000 words. Yeah, Eli. Right now, the Last Scarecrow, the second draft, is almost at 160,000 words. I need to cut it down to get it to 130. Oh, God. Kaufman's struggling. That's the one thing I'm struggling with. I need to cut down words, but I keep adding. But they're all things that need to happen to develop the story. So we'll have to see what I end up doing by the time I get to the end of the second draft. Lillian, thank you. Like, is this a lullaby? Love it. You know what? It's not a lullaby. I think I want it to be enchantingly beautiful. So I think the music that will go behind it, I want it to feel enchantingly dark. That's the vibe that I want. It will feel enchantingly dark when I can hire the right singer and give it the right background music. Yeah, and I mean, I kind of got the idea from somebody here in the community. I forgot somebody who like thought about doing the song as a prologue, and I'm like, it might have been Mary. I forgot who mentioned the song. I was like, yeah, actually, the song's perfect because I didn't really want to write a prologue because I didn't feel that Scarecrow needed a prologue, but it did need something. So I'm actually very happy about starting it with the song. All right, so Mary. Good question. I think in my mind I envision a female singer, but I'm not opposed to male. I mean, in a perfect world, I think I would hire a male singer and a female singer, put out two different videos, and then see which one um, gets better engagement. In a perfect world, I would actually get both. Or I mean, I could do like a duo and have them go back and forth between the two parts. That'd actually be kind of cool. Ooh, getting some ideas. All right. So on that note, I get distracted about writing. Okay. So I have a little bit more time. So what we're going to do is we're going to hop into a second writing sprint. And as we do, if you're enjoying the stream, follow and subscribe. We're here every day with the Right Now community. 460 plus consecutive streams and counting. If you're looking for daily writing sprints, author interviews, critique streams, our book club, our upcoming Fated Fantasy Fiction Contest, which we'll be announcing more next Monday. We have it all at the Right Now community. So make sure to follow and subscribe right now, and you'll be alerted when we go live. All right, my friends. So I wanted to get the subscribe in, and let's go into writing sprint number 2. So because I'm a little limited on time today, we're going to keep the second one at 25 minutes. 20, 30, 45. Yeah, so that should be good. We're going to keep the second one at 25 minutes, and let's do it. I think I'm all ready. So come join us. We're keeping the writing vibe super easy today. Whether you are brainstorming, writing, editing, or maybe you just want to come hang out with other writers, or maybe you're just procrastinating. That's all good. Come hang out with us because it's time to write now. right. Writing sprint done. Writing sprint done. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Were you able to get any progress that time? Did you get any words in? Drop your word count if you did. Any ideas or vision? Maybe feeling a little more motivated? I'd love to hear. Drop a comment. I know I got some work done. I didn't do too much. I want to say I got about, let's see, I think I did. Yeah, I only did like a couple hundred words, so nothing crazy. But I had also done some brainstorming and some planning. So not horrible, but glad I was able to get a good start. I'm really, really, really trying to tonally get a different I'm tonally trying to get a really different vibe in this chapter, since the crow's POV has to be very different, since he's kind of doesn't really have he doesn't really have a short-term memory, which is really interesting. I think with a lot of the characters we see, they've really lost their long-term memory. And what's different with Crow is he's lost both his long-term and his short-term. It's almost like an eccentric character with dementia. All right, but it looks like we got some solid progress here in the chat. Very, very awesome. Nice. I'm really glad to hear that we were all able to hopefully get a little push on our writing today. As we look towards creative writing on the morrow, I'll be back tomorrow with the Right Now Writers Group. Make sure to come join us, 4 p.m. Pacific, 4, 5, 6, 7 p.m. Eastern. We'll be here as we're joined by other writers in the community. Do you want to hop on stream with us? Let me know. Drop a comment, shoot a message over Discord, email me. You can find all this stuff down in the YouTube description. And you can come join us or come hang out in the chat and we will talk up all the writing vibes. So on that note, if you enjoyed the stream, tap that like button on your way out. Help us show the algorithm that writing streams are cool. All right, my friends, it's been great. Thank you all for joining me today. If you want to keep the conversation going, go hop over in the Discord. But unfortunately, that brings us to the end of the stream. Don't forget, words are wind, but stories are forever. I'm Kaufman, and I'll catch you on the morrow. Stay creative, writers.
Right now.
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 Because it's time to write.